What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Countdown Scouting Network. I'm your host, Joey Garcia, and today we are continuing our 2024 Summer Scouting Series. We're moving on to the wide receivers on this one. So there's a lot of big names. I think everyone knows who the number one guy is here, but the rest of the guys, there's a lot of good guys behind him as well. So let's get started with number five, who I think is one of my favorites in this draft class. So number five, we have Keon Coleman. He's transferring from Michigan State. He's a guy who went from a system that just his quarterback was out. They had Jaden Reed, who got drafted in the second round by the Green Bay Packers last year, and they just weren't getting a lot of production due to quarterback play. And the system that they were in. So him moving to Florida State, where you've got Jordan Travis, who's a Heisman dark horse, and an offense that was moving pretty well last year. I'm very excited about this one. I put him in at number five, but he easily could jump up to number three or maybe even number two if he has a productive year this year. He's 6'4", 215 pounds. He's got really good body control. He makes good contested catches, and he turns jump balls, these 50-50 balls, into 60-40 balls. So that's really some of the best traits he has. At Michigan, he was more of a vertical back shoulder kind of guy. I hope to see him develop a little bit more of a route tree while he's at Florida State. But if this is all he is, that's a very solid elite red zone target, also a field stretcher as well. So he comes in at number five with the potential to really move up the boards if he has a good year this year. All right, number four. This is another one I'm excited about. Rome Odunze. He's the Washington wide receiver. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. So again, last year we were talking a lot of guys who were, 5'11", 190. We had a lot of 175-pound wide receivers. This year we've got a lot of guys that have good NFL size on them, which is always a great plus this early on in the draft. The draft class rankings, I guess you would say. He's a guy who has really good hands. They're just pure hands. Again, another guy that can do a lot with guys on his back, with guys in his face as well. He catches the ball really well in traffic, and he's very physical after the catch. He's always looking to lower the shoulder more than putting a juke on someone. The only downside I have with him right now is the same thing I said about Keon Coleman. Is just he's more of a vertical route runner at this moment. You don't see him do much underneath in the intermediate game. It's a lot of fade balls, back shoulders, posts, corners, that kind of stuff. So I want to see him do more than just the go ball. He's good at the go ball. If we can get him to run some digs and some shallow crossers and create more after the catch, I'd be very excited to see that, and that boost his stock for sure. Moving on to number three. This is where you get to a smaller wide receiver, I guess you could say, with Xavier Worthy from Texas. He's 6'1", 165 pounds. That's what they have him listed as, so he might be a little smaller than that, but he does not play like an 165-pound wide receiver. He's surprisingly physical for his size. He's always looking to punish guys, whether it's blocking for other guys downfield or continuing with the ball in his hands. He's super shifty as well. So he's not always a guy who's just going to lower his shoulder, but he loves to do it. He lowers his shoulders like he's 215, 220-pound wide receiver, almost like he's a tight end. But his release package is something that's really already, I think it's already NFL ready. You think about Cooper Kupp when he came into the league and he had a great release package and it really helped him get on the field early. That's something I can see with Xavier Worthy. He can run on the outside. He actually lines up more on the outside than he does as a slot. I think he might have to learn to live in the slot at the next level unless he can put on another 25-ish pounds. His speed's good. It's not great, but it's definitely good. You would like for him at 165 pounds to be a little faster than he is. He's quick. He's not necessarily fast, but he's quick. So get him the ball on bubble screens, and he'll make some stuff happen. So this is a really good wide receiver. I would love for him to be, if he's 185 pounds, I think he's a top 15 guy If he comes in around 160, 170, I think he probably moves to the 20s, but I think this is a first-round caliber player right here. Next, we have the first Ohio State wide receiver out of the two that will be on this list, Emeka Egbuka. He's 6'1", 205 pounds, and I mean, Ohio State and Brian Hartline are just creating a wide receiver factory, a first-round wide receiver factory over there. We just had a few go in the last few draft classes, Jackson Smith and Jigba this year. The year before that, you had Chris Olave, you had Garrett Wilson. Before that, you had some guys as well. And we've got two this year that I think are first-round caliber as well. I really like the route running, the release packages and route running on these guys. Brian Hartline does a really phenomenal job with Ohio State receivers and working on the technical things, which is great for coming into the league. He's going to be ready to beat press right off the bat. A lot of these young wide receivers get into the league, and all you have to do is really press them on the outside, and they don't know what to do. So that's going to give them a leg up, of course. He's a guy who can move. He moves all around the offense. He plays inside. He plays outside. They run him on jet sweeps a little bit. He's got a really good contact balance, so especially getting him those bubble screens or anything over the middle, he bounces off arm tackles and people just trying to go for hit sticks. He keeps his legs running, and he's got really good hands as well. He's not a guy you would like to see his contested catching and his concentration catches to be a little bit better, but he's got good hands as they are at this point. I guess that's one criticism I'd give him is he's not necessarily the best concentration catch, contested catch kind of guy. But other than that, he's a first-round wide receiver. All right, and then this one everyone already knows. This one's probably a top 5 pick, I would say. If he plays like he did the last couple years, it's the top 5 pick. Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver from Ohio State. His dad is Marvin Harrison, the wide receiver that played in the NFL for years and years and years. He's 6'4", 205 pounds, and again, he's already a refined route runner. He's got great hands. This is a guy who makes all the catches. Probably the best hands over the last 2 years, I would say, just from what I've been watching. And he's got really long arms, which he's almost got the DeAndre Hopkins reach where you just throw the ball out and he's going to come down with it just because his arms are stupidly long. Another thing is he's a legit 4.4 guy. People say he probably will run at 6'4", 205 pounds, probably going to run in the 4.3s, which isn't that surprising with wide receivers from Ohio State, but it is very impressive that you have a specimen who's already 6'4" with long arms, can catch basically every ball. It's an extremely good route runner, and also is fast. So he's a guy that has everything already. If he could have came out last year, he would have been the first wide receiver taken. If he could have came out the year before that, he probably would have been in the talks for the first wide receiver taken. So this is one that everyone's been waiting for. And he lives up to the hype. I'll just say that. So let's get to a couple honorable mentions because this is deep. This is a lot of wide receivers here. Jacob Cowing, the wide receiver from Arizona. I liked him last year. I thought he was going to come out last year and be a nice mid-round pick. He ended up staying at Arizona. He is a nice route runner, slot receiver. He's a little bit small, but he runs good routes. And he makes stuff happen after the catch. So that's something good with him. Troy Franklin is at Oregon this year. Kind of the same with him. He's more of a guy that I think is going to run out of the slot, but he's got good hands. He's got okay route running. Again, he runs mostly vertical stuff as well. So that's something that you'd like to see him maybe be able to utilize more diverse release package this year. I think that'd go a long way with him. DeCorian Clark is a guy at UTSA this year, and he's a rack machine. He's just a guy that after contact, after the catch, is making guys miss, and he's turning 5-yard gains into 35, 45-yard gains. So I like him a lot as another slot guy. I think he's probably my second favorite slot guy in this honorable mention section other than Jacob Cowing. Chris Hilton is another guy from LSU. He's more of a a jump ball guy at this moment, but he's got all the traits. He just needs to kind of hone them in, hoping to see him take the next step this year. Zachary Franklin is at Ole Miss this year. He was at Arizona last year. He had like 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns at Arizona with Jacob Cohen also also working there and getting a lot of touches too. So he ended up transferring out. He's at Ole Miss. I think he's going to put up a ridiculous stat line this year. I don't really believe they have very much competition for him, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the SEC. And last but not least, with some of these honorable mention guys, we have Dorian Singer. He's at USC this year. He was at, I want to say he was at UTSA last year. So um, this is a guy who's basically stepping right into that Jordan Addison role. They saw Jordan Addison at Pitt, snatched him up and said, hey, this is what we can do for you. And he goes on to be a first-round pick. Dorian Singer, hey, come step in here at this Jordan Addison role and do the same thing. So I'm expecting him to get a lot of the target share from Caleb Williams this year, and I'm excited to see some big things from him. So that's all we have today. Let's see. Monday we will be talking about the tackles in this class, offensive tackles. So I know that's exciting for some of you guys. And then we will have guards on the interior offensive lineman on Wednesday, and then the following Friday next week we'll have edge rushers. So that's going to be a good one. You guys should tune in for that. Appreciate you guys watching. If you like this, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. And if there's any wide receivers that I'm forgetting that you think are going to be solid contributors and high draft picks in this NFL draft coming up, go ahead and leave that down in the comment section below. Peace.